is the GOP will destroy Social Security and health care. Nice to see you.
So what if Social Security should go away? That's my question to you.
Ben, you are so cooked, dude. I mean, it's probably going to go away if Republicans get their wishes across, and your ass is cooked. You are never going to retire. None of you dipshits are ever going to retire. I swear to God, you can't. You're going to fucking die on the assembly line as a Amazon ordained like Autobot is whipping you in the back. Okay. You're going to be like, oh, at the age of like 73, you're going to die to a communicable disease because like it's illegal to get healthcare now. Dumbass. God, these people are so stupid. The thing that really pisses me off about conservatism in general is just that they actively champion causes that will fuck them. Okay. It's so dumb. The smug nature of just like defending the worst positions that will destroy your life, your future. I will never understand it. It makes me so angry.
Because Social Security keeps 2/3 of our elderly out of poverty. And not only does it keep our elderly out of poverty, it's essentially a social insurance program that protects you if at the end of your life you don't have enough money to survive.
This is my king's bread and butter, okay? You're talking to a guy who goes to tort conferences for fun. Social Security is his fucking bread and butter. You have fallen into the intellectual trappings of a Samuel Cedar, okay?
For right now, do you know that it's also the albatross around our generation's neck?
No, it isn't.
Okay, so
let me just explain this.
Well, you're going to go back to lecturing me about Social Security.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security is one of the top 3 funded.
Social Security is almost the biggest thing that our government does.
Exactly, and we are more than $30 trillion in debt.
Well, first of all, Social Security cannot contribute legally to the deficit.
Because they don't even account it in the federal deficit every year.
That's correct.
We have 30 years. We're
self-funding. When Social Security started in 1936, you have more workers than retirees because people haven't entered into retirement. By 1970, it was at 3.5 to 1. Now it's at 2.5 to 1. But productivity has increased during that time, so the amount of money paid into Social Security has been up there. The reason why we are running out of money just for the trust fund, not for Social Security, like I say, if we do nothing with Social Security now, it is statutorily unable to contribute to the debt. The math is right there. The reason why the trust fund is running out is because wealth inequality has hoarded so much money above the cap.
You don't think it's because the government does a terrible job managing their money? They have a huge spending problem, and they go, oh, look at all this money we have for Social Security that's earmarked for 60 years from now that we're just going to spend on something right now.
40 years ago, they predicted this. This is an actuarial table. Accountants sit there and look at it. This is a very easy math problem.
Accountants in the government are always right? That's totally the thing that you're saying? That they're always correct about money, right? That's why we have a $40 trillion debt problem.
The problem isn't the math with the $40 trillion debt problem. It's you have tax
cuts.
It's the
spending problem. I totally agree with you, which
Social
I would argue is part of why Social Security's gone in the hole already.
That's simply not true.
Oh, okay. So we're out of money from the Social Security bucket.
No. Statutorily, by that I mean by law, Social Security pays for itself. If we do nothing, the 6.2% that your employer and your employee pays into it will pay out 78% of benefits starting in 2033.
And why is it going down? If everything's so much better, why is it only 78%?
If we raise the cap, there's a cap right now at $176,000. So for instance, if you make $100,000, you pay $6,200 into that.
A year,
a year. But if you make $4 million, do you know how much money you pay into Social Security? $6,200.
And so why should wealthy people hang on?
Why should wealthy people pay more? I don't know. That's just how progressive taxation works. It's like kind of the entire point of our tax structure. It's a good thing. because they have more money. What are you going to do with the money when you fucking die? Wealth inequality is a major problem, don't you think? I thought these guys were populist. How'd this happen? Do you make $10 million a year? Like, why? Why do you care? Why? Why do you care? Are you gonna make $10 million a year? No. Shut the fuck up. Advocate for your best interests. Rich people advocate for their best interests every fucking day. Poor people, on the other hand, poor Republicans, on the other hand, especially, just genuinely advocate for rich people's interests. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make sense. What's wrong with you, dude? This is why I always say, dude, if you're a conservative, like, you have to be so goddamn lucky. You have to be the luckiest motherfucker on the planet to ever actually reach a level of success where you will benefit from conservative policies. Because conservatism, especially when you're not immediately benefiting from conservative principles, unironically means that you're so fucking stupid, so goddamn peasant brain, that you probably aren't going to be rich. You're just not. The smart thing to do in your situation is to advocate for a better future for yourself. Okay? If you get to that point, then you can advocate against it. But for now, you should be advocating for your best interest. Conservatives don't even do individualism and selfishness correctly. That's how fucking stupid they are. That's what pisses me off. They can't even do being selfish right. They literally think being selfish means like harming others that are not in your immediate in-group that you've chosen for yourself. And never on the virtue of class. It's so dumb. What? I completely agree with you, but what he's going to say is, why do wealthy people get Social Security? It's marginal. And if you want them to not get Social Security, you can fucking tax them. Okay? But that's an entirely different conversation. It's like, oh, if we do free college, then rich people will send their children to college. Okay. You think rich people are sending their children to fucking public universities that are free? Great. Wonderful. Everyone has access to education. It's so dumb where people are like, oh, I don't want there to be any publicly funded programs because rich people will take advantage of them, is the most idiotic argument of all time. Okay. One, they don't. And two, who cares if they did? They are paying for it. Why the fuck do you care? Why do you care? Well, the reality is you don't care. You just think it's a good argument, but it's not a good argument. It's additionally funny because they don't even benefit from it. Do you see what I'm saying? They do not benefit from the things that they're advocating for. They're advocating against their best interests, which means they're stupid. Okay? And if you're a stupid person, you probably are less likely even to make it out the cut.
Why should wealthy people pay a higher percentage?
No, they should pay the same percentage. 6.2 on $400,000, 6.2 on $1 million.
Yeah, I don't think this person also understands that what lifting the cap means, raising the cap means. Like, he doesn't realize that after $172,000, everyone pays the same. So if you make $172,000 or you make $172 million, you're paying the same into Social Security.
Why should they pay even more money at all? Because they make more money? Again, you fundamentally have this idea that because somebody... Okay, you have an idea that because somebody makes more money, that's fundamentally wrong, right?
No, I don't think it's fundamentally wrong. I think that they should pay more taxes into it. Now, I do think as a society... We should not allow billionaires. So, for instance,
they can pay more taxes generally, but why should they?
The highest tax rate was and the greatest expansion of our economy.
Hang on,
does
a billionaire get more money from Social Security if they went to go take it than I would?
No,
of course not. So why should they pay more?
I'll tell you why. Because it is a social insurance program that keeps you from being in poverty when you're a senior. And the reason why I think billionaires should pay more taxes than other people, even a higher percentage, is because it works better for society. The greatest expansion we've had in this country in terms of economics and the least amount of wealth disparity was in the 40s and 50s and 60s in this country. Do you know what the top marginal rate was?
It was high.
Do you know
yeah,
what
I don't know the exact number, but
if you made over $470,000 in 1955, every dollar you would make above that was taxed at 90%.
So I have a question.
90 cents on every dollar was taxed above 470. So if we had in today's dollars,
which is wild, by the way. But
and it's also the greatest expansion we had of the economy.
Yeah, you can expand for a time, and then you see places. You see like Nordic countries that were like, oh, let's tax the hell out of our rich people, right? And then they go, whoops, we messed up. We can't actually live off of our terrible. We basically are able to live off our economic boom that they had between like the 40s and the 90s, and then we have to revert all of that because we made a terrible choice and we were able to have a party for 50 years until we realized we ran through all the money that capitalism got us. So let me ask you real quick. So the average person, right? Right now they fundamentally look at Social Security, young people like me, and they go, I'm going to have that money sitting waiting for me when I retire. Since your opinion is whatever works best for the average person is better, wouldn't you rather shift towards something that I would agree with, which is getting people that are 19, 20 years old into funding their own retirement rather than relying on other people to fund it for them?
You're talking like the 401k.
Sure.
Dude, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, that's an incredible idea, man. Okay, I have another one. Okay, how about instead of taking a percentage of your income and putting it into your 401k, you put it into like this holdover in the federal government, okay? And instead of getting fucked over by market volatility, considering that many chatters are probably currently checking their 401k accounts and seeing all red at this moment due to Trump's insane nature and his back and forth attitude on tariffs, a real will they, won't they. Instead of that, how about we just give it, I don't know, we just like put it in an area, we just put it in a space, let's say. I don't want to say anything else. We just kind of give it to a holdover area that and then you can collect it back because it's actively being refunded by other people that are paying for it. You know, like a trust of sorts. What's a secure place that you could do that with that is not subject to like the volatile market conditions? Like maybe, I mean, it could be like it would offer security, right? It would offer like a lot of security because like this is very important. And I guess we could technically socialize it, you know, like a social security. I think that's a good idea. What do you guys think? Like a security for a future society, like a social one. I don't know.
Well, not just a 401k, but for IRAs, any other type of retirement. Would you agree? Would we agree with that?
Social Security was set up as part of a three-legged stool where back in the day, when I was a kid, we had defined benefit pensions, where you'd know how much money you would get out. Yeah. That all shifted in the 80s to defined contribution, where you know how much you put in. The 401k started during that Reagan era. It has been a disaster because the fact of the matter, for better or for worse, people just don't save in the way that you're talking about.
Why?
It would be nice if they could.
If the government were changing the mindset and actually pushing that cultural.
So you want to just change the mindset? Yeah. No. I feel like that's not going to work, considering what Sam Seder is saying, which is exactly the argument that they made back then, and it's been an abject failure. I think we should do the other thing that everybody likes and wants to maintain. And there's a very easy fix, it seems.
Shift towards, we're not just going to hand you money when you're 65. You have to plan for it right now.
We've had a 40-year experiment with that, the government affecting the culture.
You're not handing people money when they're over the age of 65. You're paying into it.
mindset, and it failed.
We've had a 40-year experiment of everybody. You know what my parents say? Do you know what grandparents say? They go, "Well, I'm just waiting for my Social Security check to come in," rather than I have $800,000 waiting for me because I thought.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Conservatism and infantile disorder. I swear to fucking God. Okay. Holy fuck, dude. Dude, everyone could have $800,000 in their pocket if they did Sigma grindset in the market, dude. Market movements, baby. I'm moving my money. If everyone became a fucking day trader, okay, like we would all be rich, dude. What the fuck? That's so dumb.
I thought about it when I was 19 and 20 because I didn't have this grab bag of money waiting for me. You're assuming that young people.
I try and tell my kids.
So we agree. So we agree. We should get rid of Social Security and phase it out. Well, no. So we should phase out. How would you?
That's so dumb. You can still do that without Social Security, you fucking moron. You can do that alongside Social Security. Does he think that Social Security can't exist? And if Social Security exists, like people won't, put aside money culturally in the market? Like what the fuck? This is not a mutually exclusive concept. You're like, is you one or the other? Can't do both.
Listen to this idea. You phase out Social Security to where people who have 5 years left before they retire get 100% of the benefits. And then people like me who have 40 years until we retire,
dude,
I'm not going to get it.
I'm
going to get screwed either way.
No,
you
you're
really
not.
think I'm going to get Social Security someday?
I guarantee you, at the very least, you're going to get 78% of your benefits.
That's awesome. I'll get $9,000 a year. That's great.
In calling for our government to increase the cap, in fact, get rid of the cap, then your grandkids will get Social Security.
I would much rather, and again, maybe we'll just disagree, but I would much rather result to, hey, 20-year-olds, please save for your own retirement, invest for your own retirement, because the government is bad at dealing with money.
And what happens
Don't rely
if they
on them. What happens if what?
What happens if those 20-year-olds don't listen to you?
The same thing that happens if a 20-year-old just doesn't go and get a job because I tell them to.
No.
They're going to have a problem, but that's not my fault.
No, I got news for you. It's not your fault, but there used to be in New York City 30,000 people sleeping on the Bowery.
No one in this room was alive before Social Security. We've all lived under this, just like the
and
income tax.
it has been the most successful government program in the history of our government.
Things that are successful don't just start to die out and end up in the
dying out.
It's the grab bag of money, the massive.
Once again, the conversation is so stupid because there is no, he is just refusing to recognize key parts of it, right? Like he refuses to recognize the solution for funding Social Security further. And he also acts as though it's going to go insolvent, like it's just going to go bankrupt at a certain point when that's not the case. And it's just like, how can you have a conversation with a person like that? I just don't understand it. It makes no sense.
Excess that was there in the early years because of the 42-to-1 beneficiary.
There wasn't a massive excess in 1936.
42-to-1 is a massive excess.
There weren't that many people who had entered into the Social Security program.
And the fact that
in 1970 it was 3.5 workers to 1. Now it's 2.5, but productivity has increased it. I've told you why the Social Security Trust Fund is running out. It is because of wealth disparity. Billionaires hiding and hoarding their money above the cutoff line, which is $176,000. That's the cap. If you remove the cap, your grandkids
billionaires aren't keeping $2 billion under their mattress. They're investing it back into.
They're just putting it into some stock market, or they're just looking around.
And what do you think a 401k or an IRA relies upon? It relies on the stock market and things like that.
Yeah, a 401k relies on the stock market, and I knew people who were retiring in 2008 when the stock market tanked and they got screwed.
Well, that's a whole other problem. I would argue that's largely driven by the government being once again terrible with policy and creating bad economic hazards.
Social Security is there regardless of what happens with the stock market.
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Micah.
Hey, Micah.
Good evening,
Sam.
Sam.
Nice to meet you.
There's an idea that you have that basically government can kind of fix all these problems, right? If you didn't save for retirement, well, then the government can just come in, swoop in, and save you from
Well, not
that.
swoop in. It starts on literally the day you get your Social Security.
Sure. It swoops in once you retire, right? Once you can.
Well, you pay
once you
into
can,
it.
Right, exactly. And so you believe this idea basically that government is an effective organization, which it just time and time again, if you look at history, that's proven to not be true.
When you're hitting at retirement, you don't know. This is an insurance program. That's it. It's an insurance program, and it basically says you're insured against eating cat food when you're 65. And it works. It works.
No, it doesn't. You should have, well, one.
What do you mean it doesn't? Yeah, it does. Explain why it doesn't.
You should have your own personal.
How doesn't it work?
How doesn't it work?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've already discussed the details of how it is just completely failing as a program. Like,
well, how is it failing?
Because
Is it not paying out Social Security beneficiaries at this moment?
I'm not going to receive any Social Security
I've already
benefit.
told you right
I
now.
know. I'm not going to rehash out that debate.
Well,
the main
look at
issue.
the numbers. You've just been told this, and you know why you've been told it? Is because they want to raid it to give tax cuts to rich people. That's why.
No, that's not why. This is the funniest part about this is that this is not hidden. Like, it has been a Republican project since the invention, okay? And since the Reagan era, where the death of the New Deal Democrats came to be, they've been actively trying to do it. The only thing that stops it from happening, and even fucking Democrats have actually undermined Social Security in the past, or at least tried to undermine it. The Tea Party actually nuked it. Thank God for the fucking Tea Party. Holy shit. Barack Obama literally was going to cut Social Security benefits at the time. But the only reason why, like the major reason why Social Security has not been harmed in this process is because old people vote and they fucking love their Social Security. Okay? That's it. But it does currently seem like the mad lad, Donald Trump, might actually end up putting a dent in that. Yeah, Barack Obama almost did it. And you know whose idea it was? Joseph Robinette Biden. That's what. Okay, let's get
So are you saying there are the Trump tax cuts were only for rich people? You're saying
No,
people...
I'm not saying they're only for rich people.
Oh, okay. Then how could
rich
they
people
only...
benefited more from it than low-income people. And I would
like it literally sunsetted. It's supposed to sunset this year for you. Dude in a blazer with an ugly ass t-shirt. The only permanent tax cuts for the top marginal tax bracket and also for corporations, the corporate tax rate. That's it. Everybody else's taxes are slated to go up. This is going to be a major battle, major legal battle, major legislative battle. Sorry.
And what do you mean benefited more from that? Because we already went over the percentage numbers and we know that's not true.
They don't need the money as much, and they don't need it.
What are you talking about? These rich people are the people that are investing in smaller businesses. These are the people that are giving other people jobs to allow.
There's that old hat conservatism. Finally, dude. Jesus Christ. It's kind of crazy because like MAGA nationalism has like kind of stopped advocating for these like super old school classic conservative positions. Like rich people are jobs providers. You must respect them. You know, I think with growing income inequality, Republicans basically realize like they can't get away with that kind of sentiment any longer. But I'm glad that there's at least one person who will bring back the old classics. This is a classic take. Okay. Oh, wealth will trickle down, dude. Rich people are glorious. They're the jobs providers. They're the jobs creators. Excuse me. Put some respect on it. What do you mean they don't need the money? Yeah, rich people don't use money or bring it back into the economy in the same fucking ways that poor people do. That's it. They park it. And then they benefit greatly from the unequal system of capital accumulation. And they get taxed less for it. And there's also, on top of that, there's additional methods of simply borrowing against your pre-existing assets, loans with even lower interest rates. Instead of a tax at that point, you're just offering a incredibly low, depending on how wealthy you are, an incredibly low interest rate. That is the tax that you're paying, but instead of paying it to the government, you're paying it to a fucking bank. And then just keep doing that over and over again. This is non-taxable because it's a loan. And you die. Buy, borrow, die.
Allow them to provide for their family.
Okay,
Listen,
pause.
I go for it.
What's up? Hey. Good to be back.
Nice to see you.
Okay, yeah, nice to see you too. I want to zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
So obviously you're pinpointing on Social Security, and there's a reason for that.
And healthcare too.
Oh, okay, but Social Security is the program that you're very concerned about, and that
Medicare. I'd love a Medicare for all program, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the reason you're focusing in on Social Security precisely is because Social Security is the most successful in a shadow of social welfare programs and government spending. That it's like the Democrats.
It's also the biggest bucket of money.
Sure, it is the biggest bucket, but the Democrats have these social programs and this deficit spending, and it just never ends. It's never enough money. So you're focused.
Oh no, we got a deficit hawk in the building. Oh, this is another old school conservative guy. I like it. I like it.
On Social Security because it is the one successful child, but you're ignoring all the social welfare state that we've become.
Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid make up
the majority.
Over like a
right. So 70% of our
budget.
70% of our federal spending is mandatory, and that you're right. It's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, interest on debt. 8% of we're paying for that. So the Democrats run on this. Essentially, they want a welfare state. So yes, Social Security might help a lot of people, but it's like we're closer to a welfare state than we've ever been. 38% of the GDP in the U.S. is government spending. That's the highest since World War II. So us conservatives, we're trying to tell you, like, you guys are fiscally really
so are you worried
irresponsible.
about the tax cuts and what that does to the debt and deficit?
The tax cuts increased revenue.
No.
Yes.
I want to tell you about Kansas.
Okay, tell me about Kansas.
Sam Brown back in 2012 brought in Arthur Laffer. You know the Laffer curve, right? That's
Laffer curve, yeah.
The argument that if you cut taxes, you're going to get more revenue.
And that's exactly what happened.
Kansas.
No, that's exactly what happened
It
to TCJ.
destroyed Kansas. By 2016,
Let's
a
look at the
Republican
numbers.
legislature raised taxes again. They destroyed their education
Reality
system.
is against you, my friend.
Look up Kansas.
The
in
numbers.
fact,
The numbers
during
say
the Trump administration, they sent Sam Brown back. They made him the ambassador to faith because they didn't want this guy around because it was a disaster.
If you want to tax the rich, you should vote Republican because they pay more in taxes under Republican. It was the same as Reagan.
Down.
It was the same as Trump.
Look at Kansas.
Wait, what? Both Reagan and Trump lowered the top. What? Reagan and Trump both lowered taxes for the wealthy. What the fuck? What is he saying? Is he trying to argue that, like, when taxes are lowered, wealthy people are more productive and therefore end up even with a lower taxable income or a lower tax rate, they end up paying more in taxes overall? Is that what he's trying to say? Like, what? That's what he's trying to say, right? That's the argument that he's making, which Sam directly contradicted because with his Kansas argument, Sam directly undermined the point that he was trying to make, which is that in practice, that's not how that works.
Look at the U.S. We have the numbers for this.
It was the perfect
Obama's
experiment.
best year,
It destroyed
federal income
Kansas.
revenue, is pales in comparison to Trump's worst year. Do you get what I'm saying? Does more taxes necessarily equate to more revenue?
Yes.
No, that's where you're wrong. So if you look at TCJA, and I'll say the numbers again, the top 1% paid more into the system. GDP grew, wages grew 3% year over year under TCJA. So when you're saying tax the rich, like, it sounds like you're actually a Republican. You just don't know it yet.
You're confusing causation with correlation
I'm
because
not.
because Obama's economic recovery was way too slow. And I agree with you on that.
Way too slow.
Way too slow.
When you have tons of stimulus, what you're doing is you're creating the Great Depression for the bottom 90%. All the assets inflate. So who does that benefit? Your policies benefit the 1%. Inflation disproportionately benefits the 1%. It's an immoral tax on the poor.
Listen,
and that's exactly what happens when they stimulate.
Inflation was not a function of monetary stimulus.
It absolutely was. They increased the money supply by $6 trillion,
No, I
man.
understand they did that. I understand they did that. And they could pull it back on taxes with the wealthy if they wanted to. You're making an argument for higher taxation.
Do you think taxing people makes the country wealthier? Is that what you think?
Does it make the country
Do taxes make us wealthy? Is that government increasing taxes? Are we now more wealthy? Do you think that the only way you create wealth is by producing?
If you tax and spend, government stimulus can increase GDP, of course.
Is GDP wealth?
Is GDP wealth?
If we import 10 million immigrants and our GDP goes up, are we now wealthier? If the housing costs more, if CPI goes up because there's more people.
No, I understand. And inflation is under control, and we haven't pulled that money off the table.
Right, but I'm just saying that
inflation is back down because we had a problem.
The welfare state makes us all poorer. Yes, it does. And you can see it
doesn't.
Across history.
If you compare,
he's playing fast and loose with the concept of poverty over and over again. On the one hand, he's not wrong when he says an increase in GDP does not necessarily mean that like everyone is wealthy, but also simultaneously, he does point to an increase in GDP as like wealth growing. Here, I'll explain it as such. In the K-shaped recovery after COVID, the wealthy put billions of dollars of wealth directly into their fucking pockets. Okay, their net worths exploded. Their net worths grew. That, especially if they're American billionaires, means that the overall American wealth grew. But that didn't necessarily trickle down to the fucking American poor. Redistributive tax policies are supposed to literally take the money from the tippy top and give it back to the working poor in ways that meaningfully improve their lives. That's it. He starts the argument with taxes are bad because it decreases revenue, but then says stimulus is bad because it increases revenue. Yeah, I'm saying that he on the one hand says that like the overall wealth growing is good, but then simultaneously says GDP with the overall wealth growing is actually bad because it doesn't yield any sort of material benefits for the 99%, which is why this argument doesn't fucking make sense. You haven't established, once again, an understanding of what the government is supposed to do. I think the government's primary directive is to improve the material wealth of every single citizen, not just the tippy top. It's just a longer way to basically argue on failed Reaganomics that everybody understands in both principle and in theory is an abject fucking failure.
People want to come here for economic opportunity. We don't want handouts. We want opportunity. That's why as an immigrant, that's why my family came here. We left the socialist paradise. It's garbage. The people that come here
what socialist paradise did this motherfucker leave? Where is the socialist paradise? Vuvuzela? Is he from Vuvuzela? Cuba? Bro's like, we left the socialist paradise. Meanwhile, it's like you're like 3 generations removed at this point from fucking the socialist paradise. He's Venezuelan.
Want economic opportunity, and you're stifling that. You're undermining capitalism and the free markets with your utopian vision.
There is no free markets.
Well, there's not anymore.
No, there's never
but now
been
there
a free
used to be.
No,
that is what makes America the greatest. That's what makes the greatest.
I want to ask this person: when was the American markets truly free? Like, when has there been free markets? Has there ever been a point in time? The freer the markets, the freer the people. When was it free? Like, I guess pre-New Deal, maybe? He's like, they were so free during the Great Depression. Let me tell you a thing or two about robber barons, okay? The freer the market, the freer the people.
America is the greatest economy in the world because of the free market.
The greatest
free market capitalism is the most ethical and moral.
America had was when we had 90% tax.
That's not true. The numbers are against you.
1940, 1950, 1960, the highest top marginal tax rate was 90%, and we
when
had.
Milton Friedman predicted stagflation in the 70s with your social welfare.
We had OPEC.
When your welfare
Milton Friedman predicted. Milton Friedman predicted the oil shock.
That drove inflation way up, and that was a function of OPEC. But in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, highest top marginal tax rate was 90%. We had wealth inequality shrink. We had something called the Great Compression, and more people enjoyed.
Damn. He said we had post-World War II industrial revolution. Seems to me like you want centralized planning, incredibly high rates of taxation, and to get dumb bitches like you back to fucking work, okay? Because guess what, dude? If you say, oh, it's the fucking post-World War II industrial revolution, guess what, dude? That is America at its closest to the USSR or communism. Obviously not entirely, but if you're talking about like the war economy or post-World War II economy, yeah, that is literally the closest we were to a centrally planned economy. I would love to get back to that. And instead of, building war machines or whatever, I would like to, build things that matter, build things that are good. Free markets. I mean, wait, is he also a free trade advocate? Like, I don't understand. I wonder.
Post-World War II industrial revolution, we were producing more than every other country. It's because we were producing more than every other country. That's what creates wealth.
And
production.
we were doing that with a 90% tax rate on the wealthiest individuals.
When Reagan came in and brought it down, the top 1% paid more. Can you believe that?
No.
Do you know that federal income tax? Wait. You know federal income tax?
I don't get it. Like, he keeps talking about the benefits of manufacturing in the United States of America. But also then hypes up Ronald Reagan. I mean, is he like a anti-NAFTA free market person? Like what? Why are you giving Zio liberal Sammy screen time on the show? Are you a leftist? Isn't there more important things to talk about than this spectacle? That's the easiest ban of my life. 6-month subscriber. Insane statement. Okay, fuck yourself. He says Zio Sammy. Just call him a Jew at that point, Freak.
It was when it was established.
You're talking about the Laffer curve, and I'm telling you to go look at
here's my last claim. When federal income tax in 1913, when it was established, was only targeted at the people making $100,000 and over. Now we don't even know, most people don't even know that. It's just a base tax. Why? Because the project.
Did that chatter hurt your gringo sensibilities? Okay, I'm gonna give you a week off for that one. No, he did not. He was being a fucking freak. It's also weird, especially because Sam Cedars' position on Israel is, if not identical to mine, fairly close. Yeah. Like we have some differences in opinion every now and then, especially, but not much. Groypers are out of school. No, I don't even think these are Groypers.
projections that they had of taxing the rich didn't work out like they thought. Because it doesn't work out. There's a ton of loopholes. The rich are smart. Like, the rich people are smart. So focus on producing.
Our top marginal rate still produced an effective tax rate that is double what it is today. 50% effective tax rate.
Does not create more wealth.
Yes.
More taxes
well,
do not
I don't know what you mean by wealth. I mean,
wealth is very simple. It's production of goods and services. That's what wealth is.
I think there's a strain of anti-woke lefties. Do they not realize I'm the wokest of them all? Like, what the fuck? I dressed up in a maid outfit, dog. Like, what can be more woke than that?
More taxes.
Money. People think money is
more
wealth.
Taxes
money buys wealth.
Creates less wealth inequality, and then you have wealth that is shared by more people rather than being in the hands of a plutocracy or a plutonomy. And then you get stuff like an oligarchy.
We've seen what happens when you punish your top producers over and over again. They leave. They stop producing. The government,
capital flight's a myth.
No, it isn't. You cripple the economy. Guess what happens next?
Wait. When did this happen in the country? When we had a 90% tax rate?
It happens in every socialist country. This is the socialist playbook. They come in and they're like, guys.
This is not a socialist country, and I'm not calling for socialism to have higher tax rates.
It is more socialist than ever before.
No,
we have more social welfare span.
The United States of America is more socialist than ever before. We have a 10% union participation rate in labor. And not only that, but also those numbers are still dwindling even after fucking 4 years of Brandonomics. The fuck do you mean, dude? And labor unions aren't even socialism to begin with. Jesus Christ, dude.
No. GDP, I'll say it again, 38% of government spending, of GDP is government spending. We have more social welfare programs. And look at what happens, but how come we have all these programs and the black community is still living in poverty?
What programs are you talking about that are geared towards the black community? We, during in 2021,
what do you mean, what programs?
we expended, hold on, in 2021.
What do you mean, what program? How much money is enough? When is it enough? You have the richest country in the world.
We offered $300.
The way you guys think is just insane to me. Like,
let me just finish this.
All right, go ahead.
In 2021, we extended the child tax credit, which is basically a payment, $300 per social welfare.
Yes.
We cut child poverty in 1 year by 45%. By 45%, but because no Republican would join the Democrats, and Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin voted against this provision in Build Back. I'm talking 2021. From 2021 to 2022, we cut child poverty in this country by 45%. Look it up.
I feel like when I look at it,
I guarantee you, I will give you my phone number. You call me, and if I was wrong.
All right, we'll call.
I'll do it off camera. And you will see that we cut child poverty in a year by 45%.
I'll look into your claim.
All right, guys.
All right. We'll talk after.
Wait, he doesn't know. He didn't know that. Like even if you're a little bit interested in undermining the benefits of the American welfare state, as he claims, like that's a basic fact that you should know, that you should have a counter for. I mean, that's like, God damn, the Brandon admin truly did a number on not actually advocating for the things that they were doing. It's kind of crazy. Like a competent Democratic Party would have been featuring that formatively. That would be like the first entry point into the conversation. And that Republicans would have to address it everywhere they go. Like, why do you care? Why do you want to increase child poverty? Why did you actively undermine and increase child poverty? The very fact that they were having to fight amongst themselves and also couldn't whip the votes for it, and also had to and never really attack the Republicans over it is abysmal messaging overall. Something that I talked about on Pod Save America as well.